one today. This will get posted to my YouTube channel and my Instagram live story if anybody does miss this. So you can always go back and watch this if you do choose to leave, or I know people have different stuff going on right now. It is nighttime. So without further ado, let's hop right into this 6 Tea Talks. And like I said, again, it's the Black History Month edition. I'll be discussing Barack Obama, Ursula Burns, and Dr. Sebi. I'll be telling different facts about each of them, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Anybody is welcome to get on the live with me and make any comments, or if you have any questions, you can always comment and say things. It's up to you. Yeah. So first, I'm gonna start with Barack Obama. And as everybody knows, he was born August 4th, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. His full name is Barack Hassan Obama. And he was our 44th president. He was the first African-American president to be elected in 2008. And he also won the second term in 2012. So he stopped being our president in 2017. And now we got, number 45 in there. But anyways, Barack Obama, he called for change. And in 8 years, that's exactly what he gave us. He, one, cut unemployment from the rate of 10% to 4.7% over 6 years, which is a 6% decrease. So that's amazing. And he also signed the Affordable Care Act, providing health insurance to over 20 million uninsured Americans, which is also a great thing that we needed happening. Cool. And Barack Obama, he ended the war in Iraq, ordered for the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden, which everybody knows he was a terrorist or whatever. He passed the 787 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to spur economic growth during the Great Recession. He supported the LGBT communities for fight for marriage equality, which I know, like back when President Barack Obama was in office, I remember the LGBT community being real heavily. I remember like it was a lot of discussions and controversy about people being married to the same sex and being in the military. And I know in some states it was legal, in some states it was not. In my personal opinion, I feel like whoever you love and identify and want to be with, it doesn't matter what they identify themselves as, or if it's a male and male, or if it's a woman and woman. If you love somebody and you want to be with them, then I feel like that's your legal right to do so. He also, this is the 7th fact, he commuted the sentences of nearly 1,200 drug offenders to reverse unjust and outdated prison sentences. I'll just speak on that. I feel like the only reason why the U.S. has not made weed and marijuana legal everywhere is because once they do that, they're going to have to let a lot of people out of jail that have been arrested for those things. They don't want to do that because the jail is literally a factory, is literally a money-making machine, is literally where our taxes go to feed people that aren't doing anything, and then they have little jobs in there where they're getting paid little to nothing to do. So it's a factory, a free factory. So no, they don't want to let people off or get out early over drug charges. But my whole thing is America, how I'm feeling about it, any way that they can make money, they're going to do it. So if Americans and white people and Republicans could tax money on air, I bet money they would do it. Like, that's how jacked up this world is as far as wanting to make money and doing the absolute most. But back to Barack Obama and the 10 facts. The 8th fact is he saved the U.S. auto industry. He also helped put the U.S. on track for energy independence by 2020, which a lot of people don't realize that energy is very, 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 very big. If you read and know like renewable energy and ways they're trying to make cars and different things without having to have and run on gas, because the gas supply will run out. Okay? It's not something that we can just keep replenishing and we can make ourselves. Once it's gone, it's gone. So, and then as far as, oh, this is the last fact for Obama, I'm sorry. Began the drawdown of troops in Afghanistan. I know y'all all remember when he was taking troops out of Afghanistan, because I remember it. So, now that we're off Barack Obama, which I love, love, love. That was my choice and my pick for the 3 people to discuss tonight. I wanted to choose Barack Obama because I'm just proud that we had a black president, like an African American president. I loved it. So, next is Dr. Sebi, or Sebi. Sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I spelled it correctly. And his actual name is Alfredo Bowman. Now, what I will say is this one I will talk a lot about even when given the facts, because I read so many articles on this man today at work to get these 10 facts. And I'm very, 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 very intrigued and want to know more about what he did and what he discovered. So pretty much, Dr. Sebi was a Honduran herbalist, pathologist, biochemist, and naturalist. He was diagnosed with asthma, diabetes, impotency, and obesity. No doctor could help. No treatment worked until meeting a herbalist in Mexico. He then created a natural vegetation cell food compound geared for intercellular cleansing and revitalization of all cells that make up the human body. That sounds like a lot of big words, but for people that are going to watch this, he literally could not be cured by anything that the doctors were doing for him. He was still sick. So when he met a herbalist that taught him how to use herbs, that is what cured him. He cured himself with literal herbs. So, and it's all based on a diet that you have to follow. So he also has his own institution called USHA, or USHA maybe, Research Institute. And I thought what it looks like it stands for to me is because this man, he came over to the U.S. to study and whatnot. So when he got over here, this one institution was created. So I feel like it's U.S. Healing Village. And that's where the USHA is. His USHA Research Institute is located in La Ceiba, Honduras. But I'm not really sure what the USHA stands for. I thought it was the Healing Village, but I don't think that's correct. So if anybody wants to look into that, they can and get back to me. But he has his own institution. He was known as the man to cure AIDS, diabetes, sickle cell, cancer, and more from herbs. Literally herbs. It wasn't a doctor who did it. It wasn't medicine that did it. It was literal herbs, which is why I was so intrigued when reading about him this morning, because I was like, so you're telling me that it always seems like there's always somebody who can cure things that's supposed to be uncurable, but they don't never get to tell their story or how they did it. It's like the world, or the higher up white people would rather see black people die and dwindle down and have diseases than to help us. And that's what he stated in his article that I was reading as well. I'll get to that later. But pretty much they put Dr. Sebi, or Alfredo, or I don't know how he said his name, but it's spelled Alfredo Bowman. They put him in an insane asylum when he had claimed that he had cured himself of herbs. And I just felt like if they put him in an insane asylum, then he must have been telling something true that you just didn't want to get out. Because whenever somebody is speaking a truth or something that they know, people want to often say that they're crazy to try to down talk what they're actually presenting. So that's what I felt like it was. He also said that your body, once it's in alkaline state, cannot have disease. So pretty much, reading up on everything that I read on today, our bodies are acidic based, meaning that mucus, when it attaches itself to our lungs, that's how you get bronchitis, or to the bronchi, that's how you get bronchitis. You get pneumonia when it attaches to, I can't think of it right now, but the main purpose of what I read was that mucus attached to anything is what creates us having a disease or contracting a disease or sickness. If your body is in alkaline state, which means you need to be drinking alkaline water or eating foods with alkaline in it and having an alkaline diet, you would never get sick. Your body would literally cure itself. Going on to say that once you detox your body, he said the skin, liver, gallbladder, lymph glands, kidneys, and colon. Once all of those are cleared and detoxified, your body will literally rejuvenate and rebuild itself. Therefore, you would not get sick because your body is not acidic based. You're not putting stuff in it that doesn't need to be in it. So that to me, that was big for me. I was like, wow, like I really need to start eating better. Wow, I really need to start doing this. I need to start doing that. So that's what I really liked about Dr. Sebi when I kept reading about him today. He was also charged in 1987 for practicing medicine with no license, which was also crazy to me because I was like, if you're finding a cure for something, no matter if you have a license to be practicing medicine or not, if you're curing people, they should let you cure people. Why would you want people to stay sick? So that's my whole thing. I feel like that it all comes down to, like his article had stated, that a lot of doctors have made negative comments about Dr. Sebi, stating that his herbal methods weren't real or they didn't work or whatever the case was. But he stated in his article that we must save ourselves and that nobody else is going to do it for us. And then he said something that really stood out in his article to me that I read. And it was pretty much saying that African Americans, we were taken from our motherland and brought over here, and we had nothing. And when we had nothing, we still thrived off of what we had. Like, that's something I can always say about African American people. If we really sit and think about it, every African American is goal driven, because if you put us in a space to where we don't have anything, or we have little, we'll make something out of that little. We'll make something shake from that little. That is one thing I will say. So for us to have nothing and thrive, and for us to be have just herbs and stuff before we got brought over here and were exposed to sheep's, cows, whatever else it was, and meat products, we were literally living off of straight herbs and fruits and berries, which is why we were never sick. If you want to really think about it, like this topic gets me talking, because it's so many questions that just come after one another, to where it's like, if we were in Africa when we started out, we're living off of herbs, fruits, berries, we're never sick. Were brought to the United States by the Europeans who already had AIDS and HIV and all the other stuff. Where did it come from? How did it get placed in our black community if we're not white? How? Because what? Master rapes wife of a black man, and if she still decides to have sex with her husband and have kids, and if they contracted the disease, how do these things get to us, is what I'm saying. So it just sounds, if I really had to sit and talk to people on and on about conspiracies and things, I feel like is that African Americans, we were straight in Africa. We were set, we were good, we could have lived over there and thrived, and we would have been taught the herbalist ways, the naturalist ways. We would have been perfectly fine. We got brought over here by Europeans who already had diseases, who already had plagues. We couldn't even get over here from on the freaking ship that they put us in without having people get sick, have plagues, die, and lay on top of each other, rats, the whole nine. How did that get brought to us? The Europeans coming over to get us when we were minding our business. So how I really see it is, African Americans probably could have been the most healthy and growing population, and we wouldn't have so many deaths if we weren't exposed to so much stuff by the Europeans. If they didn't come over and mess with us or try to bring us over here or start raping and abusing our women, and then it somehow it has to get back into the black culture somehow. So that's my conspiracy theory, is that white people always had it set out for black people. Like, once they went over there and got us, there was no way around it. They had to literally think in their head, like, what is a way that I can make them work for me, work for less, plague them, abuse their wives, break them down spiritually and mentally. Like, I just feel like their whole, Europeans' whole goal was to drive us to the point of literally taking our own selves out. Because if you think about it, why are black people out here committing suicide? They don't look a certain way. We're showed to look like this model, that model, and they're always white. It's always the perfect Barbie doll. And it's the, if you watch, it disgusts me. I'm going on a tangent, but it disgusts me to see videos of younger kids choosing to play with white Barbie dolls instead of black ones and saying that the black ones aren't pretty. That disgusts me. That hurts my feelings. And that's me being a mixed person, because I don't even like white people like that. And that's just me being real. And that's my opinion. And yes, this will get put on my tea talks, and yes, I do have some white people that I love and care for, but if I have to, as a whole, I do not like them. That's what it is. That's my opinion. You can take the transparency or not. That's not my problem. But it's just like, if I had to really sit and think about it, like, Europeans, I feel like their goal was to literally take us out. But I'm gonna go back to sorry, I really went on a tangent, but I'm ending with Dr. Sebi, and how the last thing that I found that was very interesting to me was that he helped Michael Jackson with his painkiller addiction by telling him to eat a bioelectric cell food diet. And it was crazy to me, because my whole thing was, if you're a millionaire on that level and you couldn't pay him when he was helping you out to get unaddicted off of painkillers, a herbalistic way, by eating bioelectric cell food, and you couldn't pay him, and then when he took him to court, it didn't go through. I felt like that wasn't fair, because if Dr. Sebi, even though he did die of pneumonia, because they put him in jail, he died of pneumonia. And if he really did do all these things where he cured people with herbs, and he helped Michael Jackson overcome his addiction, why wouldn't you feel like somebody was important enough? Why did he not feel like he was worth the money and the amount of money that he was asking for to help him? And you had the money. Like, my whole thing is, if you were to be sick with cancer right now, and somebody was to walk up to you and tell you, I can help cure you of cancer if you start doing this, why would you not be willing to give them the money? And they're not trying to put any pills in you, trying to get you hooked on anything. They're not saying you have to do chemo and lose your hair, that you have to stop being pretty, because that's what it comes with. If you really think about it, like I said before, and it all plays back into my conspiracy of white people trying to tarnish black people and who we are as a people. If you go to the doctor and say you have cancer, you're 9 times out of 10 going to have a white doctor that says that you have to go through chemotherapy, meaning that you're going to have to lose your hair. Hair is big for women and for men in our generation. It signifies prettiness. It signifies, when it's long, that you have good hair. That's stripping you of something that you're looking forward to having, to have people say, oh, I'm pretty. They're stripping you of that. Then you lose your hair. You have to spend all this money. You're going into debt that you're not going to be able to pay back by the time before you're even dead. So that's what really kills me too, because then they put you in a place of debt to where you can't succeed in life because you have so much debt. Credit is big in the world. If you don't have good credit, you're not getting anything. College is already a setup. Like I tell people all the time, if you're not Bill Gates, which they think that we are, college is a setup if you're not getting a scholarship. If you're the company that you're going to work for after you get out of school doesn't pay for your college is a setup. I'm still going to get my degree, but college is a setup. What teenager has thousands of dollars to spend for an education that could help cure your child of some disease. But some people don't get to go to college because of money. That baffles me. You have Dr. Sebi, who finds cures, doesn't have a license to practice medicine, but can cure you herbally without giving you pills, without giving you injections. Just have an alkaline-based diet. Eat good foods for you. Don't put this in your body. Y'all rather lock him up or put him in an insane asylum for trying to help other people get better because you want to put a dollar amount on it. I had a guest speaker come, we had a guest speaker come speak today in our class, Dr. Terrence Jackson. And when I say I was motivated and blown away, like by everything that he said, because everything that he said tied into my Tea Talks. You have to be goal driven. You have to want to be helpful. Who are we as people if we aren't helping each other? Who are we as people if we can't communicate and understand each other on a deeper level than just what I can get from you? He explained that people from Harvard and Yale going against him in an interview with him coming from North Carolina Central University didn't get a position when they went up against somebody coming from HBCU, because HBCUs teach us how to go out in the workforce and how to be connected with people. And that places like Harvard and Yale teach you to go on to the next, from undergraduate school to graduate school, and to go out there in the workforce and just be another person in a job. They don't teach you how to communicate and have that interpersonal relationship with people, how to have those soft skills to where you can communicate. We discussed today how this generation is so tech savvy. I just read an article from our organization and management class that talks about this whole, how there are 5 generations right now working together. We have traditionalists, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, and the ones that we have right now, the younger ones that are up under my generation, which my generation is Generation X, I think. We're X, because Y is millennials. If I'm not, I might have those two switched around. But it's millennials, then it's my generation, and then the generation that's under us. We have 5 generations right now that are in the workforce, that we all think differently. And our generation, my generation, and the generation after us is so heavily into social media that Dr. Jackson today was saying that you'll find yourself in your house texting somebody downstairs. We're losing communication skills. Like he literally said, that's going to erode from us really soon because we don't communicate. That's a problem. When you can't have an interpersonal relationship with somebody or communicate with somebody without having to be emoji based and texting or emailing. You can't sit down and talk with me face to face and look me in my eye for a good 20-minute conversation. That's a problem. Those are soft skills that we're constantly losing. So I digress, but it's just, the world is crazy, you know. It's crazy. I'm going to read the comments. Bubbles, you make a valid point, but I feel like eventually we would have been exposed to all diseases we have now. I feel like that too. I will say that I will agree with what Bubbles is saying, because diseases do eventually get to people, and we were going to eventually integrate. And when desegregation happened and everybody started integrating, and if you mess with this person, mess with that person, I feel like diseases would have came about. I feel like they wouldn't have came about as quickly and rapidly as they did amongst Native Americans and African Americans if Europeans wouldn't have came and got us and brought us over here, though. We would have been, I do agree that we would have been exposed to it, but just not as quickly as we were. As far as what Lauren said, also a lot of disease come from disease that were on the ship far from being chained and poor hygiene on the ship. Women had corkscrews stuck in their private parts to stop their periods. It was sickening. I didn't even know all that. But I'm glad that she just taught me something. That's really, like, to think about Black History Month and what it means to people. This month is so much more than just me posting different people a day. It's so much more than me getting up here and doing this tea talks to try to explain to y'all how I feel about it. It's really realizing where we came from. Like, and really recognizing where we came from, where our roots are from. I feel like my generation and the generation up under us is lacking so much of the knowledge and history that we come from. Like, it's sickening. It's sad to think about that. Like, for Lauren to bring up that point, like can my generation imagine being handcuffed on a ship, getting a corkscrew put in our vagina when we're having our period, not having a shower for months, having people use the bathroom on you, having people die and be sick all around you? For this generation to be so tough and hood-based and gang-related, if we were put on the slave trade ship, all of us would not be able to tolerate it. Not one of us would make it through it without being traumatized. We have to look and dissect and see where we came from so we know not to go back there. So we know how to appreciate it and respect the people that have paved the way for us, because we are not free. We have came a long way, but we are yet still not free. We still have cops beating us, brutalizing us, raping our women, taking us out like it's nothing. And it's being recorded. Y'all rather record than help somebody. I'm not saying go out here and be Superman and jump in front of somebody that's about to get shot at. I'm not saying go that far. But if you do want to be heroic and show some heroism, then you would go the extra mile to be a good person. It is that simple. It is the little changes, and it do starts with you at home. Is this tea talks is so much more to me than me getting up here and just talking just to talk. Like, it's way bigger than me. I want my generation to talk about stuff like this. I want them to be knowledgeable on where we came from and what happened, and to know that it was sickening and we were treated unfairly, and that we need to continue fighting for equality. I can't do it by myself. So that was my little rant. Now I'm on the last person that I want to be discussing tonight, and her name is Ursula Burns. I'm excited. She's a woman. She was the first African American woman to serve as CEO of a Fortune 500 company. A Fortune 500 company, y'all. The first CEO to serve. African American woman to serve, sorry. But she was raised in a low-income housing project in Manhattan, the Lower East Side. She was the second child out of 3, raised by a single mother who had multiple jobs to put her through a Roman Catholic school. She went to NYU Polytechnic School of Engineering in 1980 and got her mechanical engineering degree. She joined Xerox as of 1980 as an intern, and she was named as the president in 2007 in this career field. She took Xerox from a global leader in document technology to the world's most diverse business services company. Enterprises and governments of all, most diversified business services company, serving enterprises and governments of all sizes. So pretty much she took a local company and made them worldwide, global. And she was then named CEO of Xerox in 2009. And she spearheaded the largest acquisition in Xerox history, $6.4 billion, when they purchased affiliated computer services. She's also the board director of companies such as American Express Corporation, ExxonMobil Corporation, and Datto Incorporated.